We're live. Winnie, I'm live. This is on YouTube. Hi, guys. Sorry about that. Can you fix this? I don't know, but we're live. And she's freaking out. Greetings, people of Earth. I generally mean you no harm. How is everybody? And Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and what is Kwanzaa and there's
all the holidays.
Many holidays. Kathy, say hi to Kat. Say
hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
What's going on, everybody? All right, let's see who's in here. Wayne Buzzle, what's happening? Jeff Shutter, the janitor guy. Joe Kamachi, what's happening, bro? Techno City. Tony's gone insane. He's a crazy Jeep guy. Hi. All right, Kat. Yes, get them out of here. Sorry, guys.
Come on, guys.
This is just the usual live stuff, right? Okay. Here we go. Okay. Oh, jeez. Lily, shut up. All right. I don't even know where we left off. Yes. Eric Halverson, Merry Christmas. Yes. Matthew Ward, Sub-Zero Mike, Grumpy Stiltskin, David Lewis. All right, we got a bunch of you guys piling in here. Nitro Mikey, Josh Homan, Fun with Cars. Oh, how are we doing, everybody? That was like a little chaotic, right? Hey, Scoop, Ford, CD Burlock, Dragon's Breath, KJ Kiley. No eggnog, man. What's happening, Oscar Gonzalez? Yes, acceleration rules. Hit the like button. Yes, the like button is good because it shows YouTube that you're engaged. You can even hit the dislike button. It's cool. I won't take it personally. I swear to God. But it shows at YouTube that you're engaged, and then they help us out. I've been punished by YouTube so many times. Freddie Bebop. It's their house. You're just guests and servants. I know all about it. I know all about it. Nitro Mike is saying cats will walk in front of the camera. We used to have a cat when we first started doing this. We had a cat. I forgot what his name was. That's not terrible. I mean, I'm not a cat person. I was always nice to it. I fed it. I pet it when it came near me, but I can't remember what its name was. But it would do that. It would walk in front of the camera. It would just sit on the keyboard and stuff like that. Sub-Zero Mark Mick. Regards from Peru. Wow. Hey, from Peru. What's going on, man? Zero. Merry Christmas. I thought you're going to set this one out tonight. Let's see. Making money in our sleep is great. Are you referring to what's going on in silver at the moment? Yeah, great. Closed at like what, 71, 75 or something like that. And now the COMEX is closed. Like there's no Western world trading until Monday. So now it's like all of the Asians are gonna go absolute ape shit right. I couldn't leave me solo, man. That's okay. That's okay. You're always here in spirit, bro. Sweaty fat guy is even here. I'm late because I'm calling in from Uranus. It's a tad chilly out here. Let's see. Self-do. What is torque air engine? A 225 slant 6 or 230 flathead? Oh God, I don't know. I mean, if they're both gutless wonders. I don't know. It's like what makes a better construction material, bananas or Jello? I don't know. Um, uh, Kennel N850 came across your page last year and enjoy your videos. Thank you, sir. Especially to setting up a Holly carb. Use it last week. That's we have so many freaking carburetor videos out there. And now, anytime I need to search something for carburetor, anything, if I just put in Black, blah blah blah, or Holly, blah blah blah, and in the results, our videos pop up. So that's one of the reasons we were able to keep going like this, because we got videos we did like 7 years ago that still are offered up and they get views and stuff. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. Tom T would say to slant 6. Oscar Gonzalez, if silver goes up, is the value of the U.S. dollar good or bad? The U.S. dollar, the only reason the silver is up is because the dollar is taking a dump. This is a debasement trade. It's basically it's Asians and everybody else who are done with the dollar. They're done with the dollar. They're done with sanctions, and they're done with all the goofiness that goes on with the system, dumping their dollars, and they're dumping their dollars and buying metals. That's what's going on. Forget about all the other noise. Like, oh, it's this situation, it's that thing, and it's the need for this and the shortage of that. No, it's nonsense. It's just all of these other countries all over the world saying, "Screw you, U.S. Here's your money back. Give me the metal." That's what it all comes down to. Dave Stevens, and what's happening, brother? Let's see. 10 Puff doing my first engine rebuild, Jeep 4.0. That's the perfect engine to start with, man. Perfect engine to start with. Nitro Mike, Uncle Tony, you're going to continue the exhaust tech on the Sportster. I just rewatched that video today. I think I pretty much covered everything there was to cover as far as exhaust goes. I mean, you could get into like the dyno comparisons between different exhausts, but I would leave that more to a channel that focuses on that sort of thing. I wanted to do just a basic theory and practice deal for people who don't know. Let's see. Dean Stevens is saying it's the asymptomatic careening of the price of silver versus gold, in my opinion. You're talking about, so you think it's a juggling of the gold-silver ratio, which I agree. I agree that is a factor. I believe it's at 62 now. I think the gold-silver ratio is at 62. And now traditionally it's 16-1. Well, it varies, but the average is 16-1. So it's still a long way to go before it catches up. Thankful John. I don't know what you're thanking me for, Thankful John, but thank you for thanking me, Thankful John. Let's see. Sub-Zero Mike. Uncle Tony, I have an 87 XJ with a blown head gasket. I checked Rock Auto. Do I pick up the Felpro blue gaskets? Yes. Definitely use the Felpro blue. Unless you're gonna do, unless both the block and the head are gonna go to a machine shop to be surfaced, go with the composite Felpro blue. King Eric, the greatest of all, 7860. Boss 429 or Hemi 426, which is a better street engine? The 426 is definitely a better street engine. Smaller ports. It's that simple. Smaller ports. And Fubar is in the house. What's happening, Fubar? Merry Christmas, brother. And he just put a link to my merch. So we've got our shirts, our hats, and anything else that happens to be in there. Thank you, Fubar. Elmo to anyone. Tony started a political channel. Nah, man. I'm very not political. The issues and situations are different than politics. Um, let's see. Creep, 1964. I have a 383 Chevy Stroker, some 1103. Summit. Sorry, Summit 1103 cam, duration 288, 298. Okay, that's the advertised duration, and 3,500 stored with 411 gears, and it feels like a turtle. Could the camshaft be the problem? Oh, I don't know. I don't really know that cam. I just see that it's a relatively it's a long duration cam. Not crazy. Is a turtle? Um, okay, cam could be retarded, could be ground retarded. Um, that would give it not enough ignition, not enough initial advance, not too short of a curve, or too long of a curve, and not enough total advance. There's so many different things that would make it like that. A vacuum secondary carburetor with too heavy a spring. There are so many things that can hold a basically sound combination back. It's impossible for me to just like throw shit at the wall and cover all the bases. But yeah, the cam could be the problem, but it's not likely. If the cam is the problem, it's probably because the cam is either ground wrong or indexed wrong, I should say. So where you think you're putting it in straight up or 2 degrees advanced, 4 degrees advanced, it may be ground retarded, and that's more common than you think. And I've come across it. I know lots of people have come across that. So that's why you vote when you're setting up a cam. And we did a whole video on this, on how to check the accuracy without using a degree wheel. You don't need a degree wheel for this. But I did a whole video on how to check the accuracy of cam timing. Right, and you take a cam out of the box and you're not sure exactly how, if it's right on or not. I did a whole video on checking cam timing, just using a straight edge and a feeler gauge. So it's possible you could have taken a brand new cam out of the box and it's ground 4 degrees retarded, 8 degrees retarded, 20 degrees retarded, whatever, and it'll run like shit. So I hope that answered your question, Creep. Let's see. I'm scrolling back up here. Sorry, fat guy. What makes more power, a 69 Pontiac 400 or an early 70s B Mopar 400? I don't know. I would say flip a coin on it. Flip a coin on it. Whichever engine has the better tune-up is going to make more power. They're about equal, man. Raymond Cabal. Tony, what's your opinion on GM's Corvairs? I always loved Corvairs. There's something about them. They're just quirky and weird enough. I've always liked Corvairs. And I think that like the last generation of Corvairs, what were they? 60, when did they change that body style? 67 or 68? The last generation of Corvair, I think, are just some of the slickest looking cars. I love them. I love them. Sub-Zero Mike says, this guy needs more likes. There aren't enough people who like me. I can't see on here how many likes there are. This is StreamYard. When you do it from the channel, you can see, but on this you can't see. Let's see. Self-do. You should do a joint podcast with Garage 54. I love those guys. They're a little over the top with some of the stuff they do. It's like you're doing all of this for a YouTube video, but they're great. They're great. It might be really difficult to do a live with them, like with a translator and all of that. Speaking of YouTube channels, I came across a guy, two people, right? One guy I've seen before and I've talked about him before, and I don't know how he doesn't get 1 million views every video. Jennings Motorsports. Have you seen this guy? What this guy does? He takes these cars that are sitting for 100 years, like 80 years, whatever it is. They're barely even piles of rust. Okay, and I mean that literally. They barely resemble cars. You know what's left of cars, and he gets the damn things running. Like you have all of these will it run channels, you can run and drive. This guy tops all of them like by a mile, and like you would think he would get a zillion views every video. Jennings Motorsports. If you haven't heard of this channel, if you haven't seen this channel, go check this stuff out. I watched one last night. He actually got this. Whatever it was, I don't even remember. It was such an old, obscure car. It was like a 1908, like Bugatti or whatever the hell it was. Okay, there was nothing left of this freaking car. And not only did it get it running, okay, like the motor was locked, everything was loud. Car sat for since World War One. Okay, and not only did he get it freed up and running, but he drove it. He got it to drive. So it's like this guy is absolutely over the top. Jennings Motorsports. And then I caught another one last night. Weird channel, okay? Weird channel, but this guy's really freaking good. Simon Fordman. Somebody mentioned this guy in my comments, in one of the comments. And I was like, have you ever heard of Simon Fordman? And I was like, I hadn't, or maybe it had like crossed my path, but it didn't really register. I had definitely never seen any of his videos. So last night I watched a few of his videos, and they're really long videos. Like I couldn't watch the whole video, but this guy does like ASMR stuff, and he gets good views. Yeah, Simon Fordman, and he like I watched one. He took a Chevelle, right? It was like a '70 Chevelle with a big block in it, and it was burned, right? Like it was toast. The whole thing was freaking toast. It was on fire, burned, right? And he got it running. He went through the whole deal, dragged it home, went through everything, and actually got it running and drove the car, took it for a cruise. So, but no words. Like there's no words. It's just everything is just. This guy has really great camera angles. Um, I really enjoyed it. Simon Fordman. So I'm gonna watch some more of his stuff. I watched a bunch of that video and I watched some clips from other ones, but I thought it was very interesting. Like the guy it's like he takes the whole mechanic thing to an art, which is you don't see that, right? But yeah, very artful stuff. So yeah, two channels. I definitely got to recommend those two channels. Anthony Perna, Merry Christmas. What's happening, man? T-Ray Exposed. What's the best car now to buy for an old couple? Well, I mean, I'm old. I don't really think there's a car that specifically fits my age or anything like that. Um, Out of all of the stuff that's out there now, okay, so I'm invested in XJs, Jeep XJs, Jeep Cherokees, and I prefer the 97 to 01s, but the earlier ones are great too. I just prefer those. Uh, they're a great do anything car. They fit in tight. They're small. They're easily maneuverable. They're tall, so they fit in with today's traffic very easily. They're great greenhouse. Like the visibility all around them is fantastic. They get decent gas mileage, especially if you got a two-wheel drive. Uh, I would say that would be what I would look for if I didn't already have it. That's what I'd be looking for. Let's see. Mr. Biggs, question. So when are you getting a G buddy? I'm not, bro. I'm not. I have enough. I have way too many vehicles of my own, and I fight the urge all the time to get more. But I no, I'm done with that. But on that note, Dr. Art has two of them, so I'll probably help him with those. But I'm not getting any more of them myself. Let's see. Josh Homan, for an old couple, probably a Buick Park Avenue. That's if you're an old couple and your goal is to be an old couple. You know what I'm saying? If your mission is to be old, then yes, go for it. But if you just want you want a cool, fun, easy to deal with vehicle, X-Ray. Um, uh, John Bossums, what combustion chamber is most prone to detonation? Well, I instinctively I'm going to say flathead. Uh, and I say that because the the proximity, the valves are off to the side of the combustion chamber in a flathead. So you've got a pressure rise and a mixture that's biased to the one side. Um, uh, as far as overhead valve engines, a wedge. A wedge is going to be more prone than a canted valve. A non-quench wedge is probably more prone to detonation than anything else. Add quench to it, and then the next best chamber without quench, which would be like like a canted valve engine, a non-quench canted valve engine. It's like any combustion chamber with quench is better than without quench. And the smoother the combustion chamber, and the more centralized the spark plug, the least prone it is to detonation. So like a true Hemi, whether it's a Chrysler or any engine with a hemispherical combustion chamber and a centrally mounted spark plug, is the least prone to detonation. And then go the opposite end of the spectrum, a flathead or a true wedge without quench would be the second most prone, or be the most prone. Did I answer that right, John Bossums? I don't even remember what the question was, bro. I don't even remember what the question was at this point. Um, okay, let me scroll up here. Uh, ego death, please. Tony's first car was the wheel. Uh, Dude, I'm almost that old. I'm literally almost that old. Um, let's see. Um, Acceleration rules is cheaper to just actually buy a finished project than build your own. Yes and no. Yes and no. The cheapest way are abandoned projects, um, where the guy took the whole car apart, started cleaning things up, started fixing things, ordered all little parts, started stacking up the parts, and then realized he doesn't have the chutzpah to see it through. Those are your best deals. That's where you're buying on like 5 cents on the dollar. Um, finished project, finished project. You count it's hard because there's a certain segment of the population that desires a finished project, that doesn't want to do any work to it, and you're competing with them. And then of course you don't know the quality of the finished project. I see. Watching videos yesterday, and there was a guy that bought a really sweet looking 73 Charger, 400 4-speed, nice combination, gold car, Krager SS's, beautiful interior, really nice car, visually really nice car. But he went on to say that he bought it sight unseen, paid top dollar for it, and it wouldn't run for shit. And then when he finally did get it running, it had such a bad vibration he couldn't drive it. So it's like, when you're buying a finished project, you're going to end up paying top dollar, and you don't know what you got. And if you remember, you look at some of those videos I did with Kiwi over the years, where he would take these cars in that came from auctions and consignment dealers, and we put them up on the lift, and the whole car is made out of like balsa wood and paper mache and duct tape and like hopes and dreams, and that's the only thing holding this freaking thing together. So buying a finished project is there are a lot of potential liabilities for buying a finished project. Um, here's the thing, right? Along those lines, there's no shortcuts. If you want to have success with cars, okay, there's no shortcuts. Like you really got to be willing to dive in and go, right? You got to be willing to like work, right? You need the space, you need the tools, you need the mindset that says I'm going to attack this project. There's no there's no there's there's no way to beat that system if you're going to have successful cars, or you're going to be successful with cars. Do I like 516 heads? Yes, I like 516 heads. What's not to like about 516 heads? Throw the later 906 the 178 exhaust valve in it, and you have 915s, which is like everybody's favorite wedge head. Um, Joe Camucci, Camachi. Does anyone in the chat follow Crash Test Goat, the motorcycle guy? His videos make you squirm in your chair. I've never heard of it, but I could check that out. There was this one guy that used to feature all crashes and stuff, which I watched his videos for a while. Dan the fireman, and he would show crashes and then break down, what did this person do wrong, and he was actually pretty good at what he did, but after the fact. Um, Stephen Maturk. Oh God, Steve. When is one of the Jeeps getting a slant six? It's not, man. I'm over the slant six. I'm over it. I'm just over it. I'm over it. Yeah, I'm over it. No, it's not gonna happen. Max Holler, I build my own, so I know it was done right. You know what? Honestly, I agree with that. Okay, but also you can cut corners when it's your own. You could say to yourself, well, you know what? I'm keeping this car, and all I wanted to do is run for the next year or two. So I'll cut a corner here or I'll cut a corner there, right? But I know it's there, and I know at some point I'll get to it. You know what I mean? Like the next series of upgrades, while it's there, I'll fix that kinked part of the frame rail or whatever it happens to be. So you not only do you know what's done right, but you can allow yourself certain shortcuts knowing that they're there, and then clean them up at a later date. Jose Feebles, Tony, when are you going to do a video on John the Fireman? I love boomer chair videos. I may do that soon. Maybe I do that this week. I maybe do that this week. Cop Car Steve, Reverend Tony. Thanks for the heads up on the no-name national drags. Excuse me, I checked out John Wilburn's site. Awesome. Make sure you tell him I said hi. Mr. Biggs, Tiny. Hi, Tiny. Please share your thoughts on silver. Hold, buy, sell, why? Hold. Buy any meaningful dips. And okay, so I've been wrong, all right, because I had been expecting silver to hit 50, 52, 53, like just to either just to tie or just exceed the previous nominal high, which was $50. And I was expected it at that point to pull back into the mid 30s. Then it ran to the mid 50s without any pullback. And I says, all right, well, maybe it'll pull back to the mid 40s. And it never did that. It just, now it's run up to 71, I think 71.60, I think it closed today. In the meantime, right now it's trading at an $8 premium in Shanghai. Now remember, the Western markets are closed until Monday, but Asia is trading this stuff like there's no tomorrow. And as of right now, silver is trading at an $8 premium to its close. So in Shanghai, silver is at $79 and change. I had been expecting a pullback. I had been hoping for a pullback. Now, you remember, I'm a stacker, okay? I'm a stacker. So I don't want the price to go up. I want the price to go down. like it's going opposite of where I want it to be, but nevertheless, it's going there. So I would say um, hold for the long term. And when I say the hold for the long term, hold indefinitely. Sell when you need it, because ultimately, silver is an insurance policy, and you just keep stacking it. And the more of it you have, the bigger your insurance policy. And don't think of it as dollars. Think of it as ounces. When you're saying, "Well, I have $1,000 in silver," no, don't think of it that way. Think of it as I have X amount of ounces, and you start to see things a little bit differently, because silver is the money. See what I'm saying? It is the money. So, but yeah, I would hold. I'm a stacker. I've been holding for decades. I'll hold until I'm dead, um, and buy any meaningful dips. If it runs back down, like I said, it's oh God, it'll close close to between 75 and $80 the end of this year. If it pulls back into the 50s, even into the high 40s, buy as much of it as you can afford, and then just sit back and watch the ride, because it's going to be crazy. And I tell you right now, just going by the charts, right? Just going by the charts, you're looking at a run from where it is right now. Okay, so if you consider the period between 1980, all right, $50 high, and 2011, the next $50 high with that dip in the middle, and then you got everything else coming, after that. You got this giant, huge cup and handle. And when you figure in two things, you figure in the actual, you chart it out, from the highs to the middle of that low range in the cup, you're looking at $110 an ounce, but that's nominal. That's not going by inflation. So silver, in all likelihood, should see between $200 and $300 an ounce this phase up. This phase up, meaning within the next year or two. So, okay, I'm sorry. That was a long. I didn't mean to go off on a big thing like that. But silver is a well, not just silver, precious metals. Platinum's a big winner right now. Let's see. When is the Belvedere getting an XJ engine? I had started putting that in there, but there was so little interest in it. I was going to do it. In fact, I even cut the firewall out. I cut the firewall out to fit the motor in there. I started fabricating mounts. I did a video or two on it, and it was crickets. Nobody had any interest in it. And that's one of the things about YouTube, right? I could build stuff that I want to build, but if the audience doesn't care about it, if the audience isn't interested in it, then I'm wasting my time. It's not good. This is a business. So I had already started putting an XJ motor in the Belvedere, but nobody was interested. So okay, fine, no problem. And I welded the firewall closed again, and we'll see what happens. What goes in there next? Let's see. Cop Crusty, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I'm a gearhead from Tennessee. That's it. That's all I am. Okay. So take all of that for what it's worth. Cop Car Steve, do you think AI is going to suffer a huge crash in 26, or do you think it will continue to grow in this frothy market? The market is beyond frothy. At this point, anybody can see the market is the equities market, and everything to go with the equities market, so the bond market, the equity market, all of that is so ridiculously overinflated, so ridiculously detached from reality. When the flush hits, it's taking everything with it, AI, everything. So I don't think it's going to be specifically an AI like a tech, like a .com bubble thing, or a tech bubble thing. I don't think it's be. I don't think it's going to be an AI bubble thing. I think it's going to be the everything bubble that AI is part of is all going down. Which is why you've got all of the countries like Russia, China, India, Brazil. Most of the world is loading up on precious metals because that they're expecting this rebalancing, resetting of the economy. And by definition, when the economy is reset, all of those bubbles, the everything bubble, everything incorporated into the everything bubble, real estate, equities, and name it, done. So I would not be involved in anything like that. The only speculative investment I'm in is just crypto, heavy on Bitcoin and XRP, but that's money I put in there expecting to lose it, right? I put it in not expecting to lose it, but in other words, I'm okay with it. If I lose it, it's all right. It's gambling. So just exactly if I went to Vegas and threw the money down on the table. That's how I view the crypto investments, and but that's the only thing I'm in. I'm not in any equities or anything like that. Um, and honestly, copper. I, I would if they're seeing the run up in silver, the debasement trade, okay, which took gold first. Now silver's playing catch up. Silver will overshoot. Silver is definitely the better investment than gold, percentage wise, at this stage of the game. The sleeper is copper. It's not considered a monetary metal. It's not considered a precious metal. It's not even measured in troy ounces. It's measured in regular ounces, right? It's like it's really outside the spectrum. But copper found its way into the monetary system because it can be used as a bottom dollar or a bargain monetary metal. And that's how we got pennies. Right, that's how copper ended up in the nickels, right? Because copper, even though it's not a quote monetary metal, takes a role in monetary. Uh, so copper is the sleeper right now, and I would be buying copper coins. That don't. I mean, I guess you could stack wires and copper tubing and stuff like that. That's fine, but I would be buying copper bullion. I've been right. I've been buying coins. I've been buying rounds. Um, that's what, and you're going to pay a lot for it right now. Meaning that the premium is much more than what the metal is worth. But if you go back a year ago when silver was trading at like $27 an ounce, and I says, pay 40 an ounce for it. Trust me, you'll be happy. You would have thought I was out of my friggin' mind, right? So it's the same thing with copper right now. You're paying a big, huge premium on it, but trust me on this. Copper is going to be the big sleeper. Copper is going to be the big percentage gainer next year, guaranteed. And I haven't been wrong. I've been in this market. I've been in metals for 20, 25, 26 years now, and I've never missed. So trust me on this one. Um, Oscar Gonzalez, LA has dark streets because of streetlight copper wire theft. That's on a street level, and that's on a very small level right now. I'm talking about from a larger investment. Like go buy yourself 1,000 ounces of copper, 2,000 ounces of copper. Do it now. I'm telling you. And I tell you another thing too. When I said yes, I'm going to start moving in that direction. Uh, I went to all of the major dealers, SD Bullion, and all the different major dealers that have copper bullion, and they were sold out of everything. They had like 10 different products, 15 different products, and everything was sold out. So that's telling me something. They weren't sold out of gold, they weren't sold out of silver, they were sold out of copper. So nobody's talking about it yet. That's the next place to be. Um, Snowball 1138. My bank said they won't be getting any more pennies. I wanted to buy a box the other day. I got a friend of mine who's a dealer. He's a precious metals dealer, and he's got a big operation. I don't want to, and he's been selling rolls of 20, 25 pennies, right? Like just roll of 20, 25 pennies, getting $50 a roll on eBay. So, and he sold out. I was by his place a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, if you know anybody who's got any 20, 25 pennies still in a roll, let me know, because I can sell 1,000 more rolls tomorrow. He's selling 20, 25 pennies, $50 a roll. They have no intrinsic value. They're zinc. But it's just people. Oh, I want the last of the pennies. I'll pay for it. I think that, and he thinks we all think that they're just pissing money in the wind. But that's beside the point. They want it, and that's what they're willing to pay for it. So if you can find them, you can find boxes of pennies. There's arbitrage there, boy. You can make some serious money. Let's see. Scoop. I can't get myself to buy a speck of gold for 4,000. Oh yeah. Buy a speck. You're buying an ounce, and you've got. And I don't mean anything. I'm not like saying, oh, you're dumb, right? I'm nothing like that, right? You have a normalcy bias, meaning that through the course of your life, during the course of our history, right, gold hasn't really been that big of a deal. Okay, it's been around. It was illegal for people to own from 1933 to 1974, all of that stuff, right? It was played down, and it popped up in jewelry. It was like so. Gold is something that's pretty normal to us, and it's hard to imagine paying that much money for it. But if you go back to previous times, you eliminate your normalcy bias, and you look at gold's traditional role in the monetary hierarchy, it's the money of the elite. It's the money of kings, and that $4,000 ounce of gold is actually worth a lot more than that when it returns to its. Remember, everything that we know about gold, everything or metals for that matter, has been taught to us through the filter of debt-based fiat monetary system. So collectively, people don't understand what money is and what the value of money is and what money's actual job is. They think money is digits. They think it's in dollars, and that inflation is normal. They think all of these things is normal because it's the only thing that we've ever had. That's normalcy bias. And that's why when you look at an ounce of gold for $4,000, you're like, that's crazy. Who would buy that? That ounce gold is going to go to 10,000. It's going to go. So in previous hyperinflations, okay. Oh God, I hope I'm not boring anybody with this conversation, but I think this is important. We talk about this stuff. In an example, okay, was where you had a fiat currency and hyperinflation that went with it was the Weimar Republic, January 1922. I may be off on my months. January 1922, because it was 13th month period. I think it started in January 1922. The exchange rate for marks, gold to marks, it was 419 marks per ounce of gold. When they stopped keeping track 13 months later in February 1923, it was 1 quadrillion marks per ounce of gold. Okay, this is that period of time when they were taking wheelbarrows full of money and just burning it for heat. Okay, but in the meantime, gold went from 418 marks to 1 quadrillion marks, but the price of everything else stayed the same. You had stagnation across normal assets like real estate. So if a house was 100,000 marks in 1922, it was that same 100,000 marks 13 months later because nobody's buying it. They can't afford to buy it. So the price doesn't go up. If anything, the price comes down. So now what was your buying power? You could buy 419 marks worth of goods in January 1922, and in February 1923, you could buy $1 quadrillion worth of value for that same coin. So that's how you have to look at these things. World of Woodchip. In the Weimar Republic, college students were buying houses and property with the foreign money their parents were lending them. Forget about foreign money, coins. They were buying it with coins. There's if you've ever heard the expression "one thin dime," okay, that expression comes from an American traveler a businessman who was traveling in Germany at this time, and he stayed in Berlin's biggest hotel, okay, for a week. And he was waited on hand and foot, like all of the room service, all of the perks, all of the everything, okay. And when the week was done, they handed him his bill. It was in marks, but he paid for it with one American dime because it was made out of silver. And they were like, "Yes, I'll take that. Awesome." So this isn't ancient history. This happened within the realm that we currently exist in, someplace in that timeline. So this isn't, craziness. This has happened. And not in Zimbabwe. This happened in Germany, right? So yes, let's talk about something else. Let's see. Jose Feebles, Tony, what about normal quarter coins? They are not 90% silver. Are going to have some value? No. No. Maybe for barter purposes, but no. Oscar Walton, rare earths could be worth a look. All right, so here's how. Not financial advice. Not financial advice. I'm a YouTuber I'm an automotive YouTuber, okay, from Tennessee. So this is not financial advice. Rare earths are not something you're going to hold. Okay, they're not something you're going to hold. All right. In this cycle that we're in right now and going into the future, right? I cannot stress this enough. Okay, I can't stress this enough. If you don't hold it, if you can't actually put it in your hands the way I'm taking this lighter and putting it in my hand, okay, you don't own it. Do not invest in anything that you cannot physically take like this and put it in your hand and stick it in your pocket or okay. So rare earths are, yeah, it's a good speculative investment in the world of right, but miners and all the other shit. But no, trust me on this. Don't buy anything you can't hold in your hands. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. And I don't care about safety deposit boxes. I don't care about insured vaults and stuff like that. No. The only time I would say that would be an acceptable thing to do is if you're going to move your money outside of, let's say, the Western countries. So if you want to move some of it down to South America, you want to move some of it to like Thailand or the Philippines or someplace like that, then yeah, okay, then custodial gold is acceptable, but or silver, whatever your thing is. But if you can't hold it in your hands, man, you don't own it. You don't own it, and a lot of people are going to find that out. A lot of people are currently finding it out right now. Let's see. I call that hands. Hey Tony, I pray you get saved. I would love to see you in heaven. I mean, we may meet there, man. Go back to car stuff. Hey, you want to talk about something else? Question. Distributors, Circle Track, locking out HR distributors. Any advice? Uh, I know nothing about Circle Track racing. I know nothing about Circle Track racing. So you would have to ask somebody who's familiar with that. In drag racing, yes, lock it out. You have no reason to have a curve. Period. The end. But in Circle Track racing, I don't know. I don't know the dynamics that are at work. And there's going to be different philosophies. Long track, short track, dart track. All of these different disciplines are going to have different methodologies. So you need to talk to people who are versed in the specifics of what you want to go for. Manpower. Can we talk about cars now? Dude, go for it. Uh, um, Anthony Barber. Tony, would you consider car part an investment? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. No matter what, people have got to get where they're. You still need transportation. Things still need to roll, no matter what. Okay, so yes, figure out what's going to be popular, what's going to be survivable, what's going to be more desirable as far as transportation goes, as all of these different economic cycles kind of play out, and start investing in those vehicles and the parts to keep them running. Here's something I was actually thinking about today. I changed the battery on one of my bikes. Okay, and I only buy batteries that are dry. Okay, most batteries you buy today are already pre-filled with acid. Okay, no, that's not good. It has no shelf life. It has no shelf life, right? So in other words, if you don't use it within, let's say, the year that you buy it, it's greatly diminished. The plates sulfate as they're sitting there over time. So I only buy batteries that are dry, that you have to fill with acid, and they're getting fewer and further. They're getting harder and harder to find. So I just put one in one of my bikes today, and I said to myself, I better buy like 5 or 6 of these things and put them on the shelf, so that this way it's the trend is there. 5 years ago, every battery you bought you had to add acid to, and now nearly no batteries you buy you have to add acid to. So in my mind, that's a form of money, right? It's like they're not going to go bad. They'll sit there until the end of time and not go bad. So little things like that. That's yes, those are good investments. Um, let's see. I'm scrolling back up. Uh, Cop Car Steve, Reverend Tony, why do you call me that? Um, I'll have to do a better job putting up better content. So do I. So do I. Um, but I'm up now to a whopping 36 subs. That's more subs than most people have. So you're doing good, bro. Just looking for a shout out. You got it. SSP Mustang and Oscar 2010 LAPD replica. Okay, well, if any of our mods, one of you guys put up a link to his channel. Let's see if we can get him some traction. Don't say I'm only up to a whopping 36 subs. There are millions of people out there with YouTube channels that have no subs. That have one sub, or there are people who do this for 10 years and don't get 10 subs. So you're doing good, man. You're doing good. Um, Mopar, hey, buddies forever, Zero. You got it. They're destined to roam the earth alone, man. Um, DJ Chris Miller, I got a 440. So I. Do you ever build your those things, those engines? Do you ever build your those engines? What do you think of that motor? They're great. My personal preference is for the 383. I just have a soft spot in my heart for 383s. It's my favorite engine. The 440, I love 440s too. I got a 440 in my 67 Charger, which runs like stink. It's a motorhome engine, a low compression motorhome engine with some like ancient Fireball cam and some home ported 516s. It's a mixed match, but the thing runs really, really good. Um, I have a 440, a project that I want to do. I got just a pile of parts sitting on a stand right now. But it's like a true scrap 440, and this is have a tunnel ram on it and all kinds of other shit for like incredibly low money, like ridiculously low money. Um, and I'm just gathering the odds and the ends, and I'll introduce that engine. You've seen it sitting in the background. If you watch the videos we shoot in the shop, you've seen it sitting in the background on the engine stand. I'll be introducing that sometime over the winter. I was going to wait till we were done with the dragster and then start on that one. Let's see. People would think I was stupid for buying a pre-64 roll of quarters for $60. What is a, so let's figure that out now. It takes 5 quarters to equal an ounce. So 1964 quarters is worth $72 right now. So what you could have bought for, see, that's your true inflation. That's your true inflation. 1964 quarters is currently worth, because it's 90%. So it takes 5 of them to actually equal an ounce. 5, maybe a little bit more. 5 quarters is worth $72. So what you could have gone to the grocery store and bought for $1.25 in 1964, you go pay $72 for it right now with that same money. Think about it that way. Okay, that's the true inflation. Jimmy Luce, embarrassing question. Why are exhaust valves smaller than intake? Why is that embarrassing, bro? Pressure. The intake comes in with a gentle push. Okay. So remember now, right? When the intake valve opens, the piston isn't on its way down yet. Okay. So it's kind of gently, it's sucked in through the exhaust pulse leaving. Remember the intake, top of the exhaust stroke, right? Intake and exhaust valves are both open. So top of the exhaust stroke, the intake and exhaust valves both open, and the intake valve is about to start really opening, and the piston's going to start coming down. So top dead center, exhaust, intake and exhaust valves are both closed. The exhaust leaving the port creates a slight vacuum that starts pulling intake in. Okay, then the exhaust closes and the piston comes down, and now the piston, the suction from the piston, pulling the mixture in. But remember that piston is also competing against the other pistons in the engine. So the piston coming down has to actually create a greater draw than the ambient vacuum in the manifold to have any meaningful effect on pull. So the valve has to be big in order to get a sufficient mixture in. The exhaust, on the other hand, everything in the chamber wants out in the worst possible way. And so, in order to give the intake valve as much room as it can get in the chamber, they make the exhaust valve smaller. And that's it. It's that simple. Not only does the exhaust have its own pressure pushing it out, but it's also got the piston on its way out pushing it out. So the exhaust needs no excuse to leave the chamber, and that's why there's a difference between the intake and the exhaust. Did I answer that question sufficiently, Jimmy? Don't ever be embarrassed for asking a question you don't know. Fun with cars. According to ChatGTP, 1 troy ounce of silver equals 22.1 pre-64 quarters. No, ChatGTP is wrong. 64 quarter is 90% silver. So if you have 4 of them, okay, you've got, you got 4 of them would in theory be 1 ounce. It's 90% of, right? So it would take 5, not 22. It would take 5 to equal a troy ounce. Okay. Let's see. Jason Matthew, could it be my gas cap not being vented? I run our Carter electric fuel pump, 72 gallon per hour, 3/8 lines, Holly 870 vacuum secondary, 440, 1001, 44, 292 headers, etc. It just misses after $4,000. No, you got a bad ignition. So you're using. I know what you got already there, Jason. You have the orange box, right? You got the orange ignition box. I'll wait until you answer that. I'll watch your answer, Jason. Well, it's hot in here actually. The frog feeder. I didn't realize I got an Uncle Tony shirt on right now. There you go. Good fashion sense, man. Oh, Jason, it's Petronics. Okay. All right. So the reason I said the orange box is because when they start to go bad, that's what they do. You get the 4,000 RPM and they start stuttering and breaking up. If you've got a Petronics on there, could be coil, could be a bad coil. I would substitute, put a set of points in there, take the Petronics out, put the original points and condenser back in it, and run it. And if you still have that same problem, it's going to be probably in the coil. Also, it could be a lack of voltage, right? Make sure you've got at least 12 volts to the coil. Home Run Homie, how does Ed Smith use a Dodge crank in a Chevy block? I have no idea. I don't know. Offhand, I don't know who Ed Smith is, and I don't know why he would or how he would put a Dodge crank in a Chevy block. I mean, I guess you could, you know. I couldn't tell you exactly how, but I guess you could. Alan McElroy, any experience with snowmobiles in the winter? I fear cold weather more than death itself. So yeah, no experience. I know that I can't even really watch people ride snowmobiles because I know that they're cold. So I can't even really watch it. So no, I have no experience with them. Berserk 111. I know you're going to disagree, but no engine should ever have points in this day and age. Why? Why? My friend, my Berserk friend. So up until 1999, right, I was involved in Top Fuel racing, funny car and Top Fuel, right? Both big show, meaning like NHRA. I bounced from car to car. I tuned, I wrenched, I did everything. Okay, and I was partners on a car. I was deeply immersed in the universe of nitro drag racing in the 1990s. Okay, I was partners on Top Fuel car, and this applies to everything else. But I'm just using this as the example. Partners on Top Fuel car. We had the best parts that we could afford at the time, and they were basically state-of-the-art parts. So we ran two Mallory Super Mag 5s on our Top Fuel dragster. Do you know what triggers the Super Mag 5? Do you know what actually makes the thing work? You don't, so I'll tell you. A set of points. There's a big honking set of like Model T points. But no, well, Model T is a Magneto, but you know what I'm saying. There's like the ancient, like huge points in the top of a Super Mag 5. Okay, a single point ignition has gone deep into the 4-second zone in the quarter mile. It's gone way over 300 miles an hour in the quarter mile. A set of points, right? So you say, why? Why would they have used a set of points in that situation? Well, I'll tell you why. Because no other ignition system, no other type of ignition system could reliably throw a spark given the operating conditions of a blown nitro motor. Okay, the sudden acceleration, the extreme harmonics and vibration, all of those things added up that the only way to reliably trigger a spark on those engines was with a set of mechanical points. Okay, I'm not making this stuff up. This is what it was. So now since then, they've gone into now they're 44 amp mags, and at that point, the points were they came up with new technologies to trigger those ignitions. So I couldn't even tell you how they trigger them today. I've been out of it for so long. I'm just telling you when I was in it. So we're talking about, this is over 300 miles an hour in the 4-second zone, single set of points going like that. That's how you trigger those engines. So now tell me why no engine should ever have points. Berserk is saying maintenance, reliability, and accuracy. Petronics is fired by a Hall effect sensor. I know all about Petronics. I've had them. I also had one on my charger. I also had that Petronics pulling out a power tour last year at the speedway over here. I got stuck on the side of the road with my Petronics in my charger and had to get somebody to drive me to my shop so I could pick up a set of points to put it back in the car so I could make it home. So yes, of course, they're extremely freaking reliable. Mr. Biggs, question: have you heard the practice of removing oil from various parts, differential, etc., on a final run to remove resistance, etc.? The only instance of that I can there's two, right? Stock emitter super stock cars with rear sump oil pans will often drop down to 2 quarts of oil because the pickup is all the way at the back and oil sent to the back. So I've heard of them dropping down to 2.5 quarts of oil to make runs. Now, if you go back to like the early days of Pro Stock, when they were still using production cars, I know that Landy used to run with no gear loop, and it only had a bolt. So I don't know how long he did this for, but he only had like two bolts holding the inspection cover, the rear end cover on a Dana 60. And before the run, somebody would go out there with an oil container, slide the cover out of the way, squirt down the ring and pinion, and put the cover back on. I don't know how long he did that for, but I know Landy was known for doing some pretty extreme things. When he had his, he told me this one himself. When they were running the 65 car, that altered wheelbase one, the injected when you see the wheelies on, he had a kid that used to come with him. It was like one of the neighbor's kids, one of the kids, somebody in the shop. They would come with him, and he gave the kid a file. Right, and in between runs, this kid his job was to go around the car and file things down. Any place he saw like a sharp edge or any extra metal anywhere, his job was to file on the car. So yeah, I've heard of some crazy people doing crazy things. Ego death, please. Can you run ATF in a diff on a drag car? Yeah, it depends on the load that the rear end is going to see. I do it automatically, like Bottle Rocket has ATF in the diff. Slaghammer has ATF in the diff because these are slow cars. There isn't a lot of woof being sent to them. You know what I'm saying? So you don't really need the cushioning of the gear loop, and ATF is fine for lubricant in those cases. Same with transmissions. A lot of transmissions, like the T5, the AX15 that's in the Jeep that I run, that's got ATF in it. So yes, you can run it, but to a degree, and I couldn't tell you what the degree is. I wouldn't try to put 1,500 horsepower through an ATF ring and pinion, but 500 horsepower, yeah, the whole day long. Okay, I'm scrolling back up here. Bud Kelly, 4.3 Vortec, worth restoring. A lot of people are going to say no, and I'm going to say yeah. If let's say it's in like an S10 or like a Blazer, that sort of thing, right? Or you got like a really mint like G-body Monte Carlo, Cutlass, one of those cars that's got a 4.3. Yeah, absolutely, they're good motors. I would definitely restore it. The frog feeder. Uncle Tony, do you have a video about installing a one-wire alternator and bypassing the amp meter? No, I don't. Can I just unplug the old system and everything still works, or do I need to jump the amp meter? Well, if it's a Chrysler product, Chryslers are different than Fords and Chevys in this respect. Everything goes through the amp meter, right? The alternator gauge on the dashboard. That's everything. The charging system runs through that, which is one of Chrysler's liabilities. It's one of the problems people have had. Myself, I leave everything stock. I leave it all alone. I've never installed a one-wire alternator. I mean, not that I have anything against them, but I don't find a need for it. It's just simpler for me to use the stock parts. I know the stock parts, especially the early ones, points regulators, because you can fix them on the side of the road, and I have many times. But no, I don't have a video. And like I said, if it is a Chrysler product, unless you're going to rewire the whole damn thing, yes, all of it goes through the ammeter. Scoop, I don't remember John Candy being in Home Alone, but there he is. I'll give you, I got, okay, Mandela effect stuff. I love this Mandela effect stuff. I got one for you guys. Okay. Looney Tunes. Is it spelled Looney Tunes, Tunes, or Looney Tunes, Toons? Which one is it? Uh, Barracuda, first motorcycle I had with a CDI ignition was an 81 Yamaha TT250. One day, suddenly there was no spark, dead CDI. Good thing I was in the middle of nowhere. Points never let me down. That was one of the things. I was really into Kawasaki triples back, when I was younger. And that was the one thing I hated about those bikes. They had that early, I think it was Hitachi CDI system. It was like two boxes. Oh, what a freaking nightmare. Oliver's saying Looney Tunes, Tunes. Josh Homan is saying it's Looney Tunes, Tunes. Oscar Walton, Looney Tunes, Toons. Boomer saying it's Tunes. Um, let's see. Acceleration Rules, Tunes. Okay, so evidently it's currently Tunes, Tunes. Okay, but originally it was Tunes as in cartoons, right? Not songs. It wasn't Looney Tunes, Looney music. It was Looney cartoons, Looney Toons. But no, now it's Looney Tunes. But there's no Looney music in them. Go figure that one out. Um, let's see. Snowball say it was always tunes. Yeah, go ahead, guys. Argue amongst yourselves. And there's so many of those Mandela effect ones that I'm like, that's crazy. I know it was. Uh, Snowball says, I had a plaque that used to hang up in my house from the 80s. It was still tunes then. I don't know what it was in the 80s, but those cartoons were made in the 1930s and 1940s. Those there was no TV. Those cartoons were made. There were shorts. That were like if you went to the movies and like waiting for the feature event, they would show you shorts, and that's what the Looney Tunes were. They were cartoons that they would show before the actual movie started. So that's where it came from. It had nothing to do with music. It was cartoons, Looney Tunes, cartoons. Maybe they changed it in the 1980s, but originally it was Looney Tunes. That's right, Shannon. That's right. See, you're on my timeline, right? They would do the intro with the I's and the O's of the tunes. Yep. Uh, War Ghost. Hey, Tony, is this supposed to be a gasket between the fuel pump and tank on an '03 Pontiac Vibe Toyota Matrix car? I have no idea. Would black RTV work otherwise? No. No. Don't use black RTV as a substitute for a gasket in a fuel system. It'll hold for a little while for sure, but long term, no. No, not good. The fuel vapors will eventually break down that silicone. Um, Fun with cars. I've been arguing between ChatGPT and Copilot for how many quarters equal 1 troy ounce. They settled on 5.5 quarters, so 6 quarters. Okay, ChatGPT was wrong. Uncle Tony is right. I'll take on ChatGPT anytime. Berserk. I think all car guys started with dirt bikes. I love dirt bikes. I really do. I don't currently own one. I do love dirt bikes, but I didn't ride a dirt bike until I was 36 years old. I was born and raised in New York City, and dirt bikes are just not part of the culture. So I rode my first dirt bike at 36 years old. I flipped out. I fell in love with it. It was the greatest thing in the world. And the next thing you know, I had a backyard full of dirt bikes. Well, I had 2 KX 125s, an RM 125. I had a KX 250. I had a little 80 I'd keep around. I had a Honda. What the hell was that now? An XR 200. Just a little 4-stroke trail bike. I was eat up with dirt bikes. I was eat up with dirt bikes. Smallville, where do you park in New York City? I don't live in New York City. I moved out of there 23 years ago now. I'm in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. You all, I have nothing to do with that place. It's Meep Meep. The Roadrunner is Meep Meep. Real DJ Evo, thanks for videos. Well, thank you, DJ. Appreciate it. Maxwell RM125 here. It was an old RM. I had to restore it before using it. No, mine was, this was like in 1998, 1999, thereabouts. And my bike was like it was a current model. It was like a 3-year-old model. Smooth. Goddamn thing was smooth. The Kawasaki's had a hit with a nice hard curve, but the Suzuki, that's the only reason I bought it was just because I took it for a ride and I was, it's like it's like riding a rubber band. It's like perfect, right? Very predictable. The Kawasaki's were peaky and not nearly as predictable, but that RM just zing, it was great. Snowball. I love bikes. They're great fun till some asshole hits you with a car. Dude, I've been hit 3 times. 3 freaking times I got hit. So yeah, I know all about it. I know all about it. And I didn't ride for like 8 years or thereabouts. And then one day I was just like, nope, life is too short. I have to ride, period, the end. And truth be known, I enjoy motorcycles a lot more than I enjoy cars. Let's see. George Files. Question. I'm rebuilding a Ford 2300 straightforward with a stock 2-barrel carb. I only drive it in the summer. Do I need to replace the choke or can I remove it? No, you can remove it. If you only ride in the summer, just get used to pumping the gas and feathering the throttle when you first start it. I mean, obviously it's better if you can keep the choke on there, but yeah, you shouldn't have any problem. Just but you go to start it the first time, pump it 3 or 4 times, hold it a quarter way down. As soon as it starts, feather the throttle to keep the accelerator pump like squirting gas in there for the first 5 seconds that it's running, and then you should be able to ease off on the throttle and it'll idle. That's kind of universal for all carbureted engines. Jimmy Luce, have you ever experienced death wobble? Yes, I have. I've been riding since 1990 and have not. Yeah, I had a 900RR, CBR 900RR, and yeah, I hit death wobble. I don't know how fast I was going. I was going much, 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 much faster than I should have been going, and yes, and I want to say that I powered out of it with some sort of heroic move or anything or something like that, but no, it started going, and it became a true tank slapper. And I just at one point I didn't let go of the handlebars. I hung in there, but I stopped fighting them, and it was off the throttle, and it just kind of like calmed down on its own, and I was able to get a handle on it. Uh, yes, I have experienced it. It's not fun. I don't ever want to do it again. But yeah, yeah. Jimbo Jones, Merry Christmas, Jimbo. Spike Motorsports. Husqvarna, manufactured by the Swedish bikini team. My so when it was on my dirt bike phase there, I needed a 400 cross. I like in the worst way. It was like I couldn't find one. I couldn't find one, and the ones that I could find were like far away and more than I could possibly dream of spending at the time. Um, I was fresh out of nitro racing, so I was broke, right? But yeah, the 400 cross was like one of those must haves, and I never got one, and I've never ridden one, but I've lusted after those bikes forever. Um, Shannon 78 Monty. Fun fact: I have a motorcycle license, but I've never rode one in my life. Just always had the endorsement on my license for some reason. I'm the opposite. No motorcycle endorsement. What the hell was that? Uh, Olive. I think in Georgia, winter's gift is here's some uncannily warm days for like a week. That's what I'm having right now. Oh, it's beautiful. I was out riding a motorcycle on a t-shirt today. I rode four of my bikes, just take them out, exercise. Oh, it was awesome. And we're gonna have beautiful weather now. Today was about 70 degrees, and it's supposed to stay like this until Sunday, and then Monday we go back to winter. So I'm going to be playing a lot of hooky for the next couple of few days, just going out and enjoying the beautiful weather. And you know what's cool too? When you're riding around here in the winter, when you get these like 70-degree days, you see things that you've never seen before. Because during this, like in the springtime, nature explodes. Every tree, every bush, every plant just goes berserk. Okay. And when you go for or you go for a ride, you go through the countryside and shit, you really don't see anything except trees and windy roads, which is nice, okay? But this time of the year, all of the trees are bare, and everything's like wide open. So when you get one of these days like today, and you take off into the hinterlands, you see all of these things that you've never seen before. So I love that. That's like therapy for me. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of that tomorrow and the next day. Um, Shannon, maybe I should get a bike that's a good beginner one, for someone who has never ridden one, just a fun cruiser. Look at the Royal Enfield line. Whoa. Well, okay, Royal Enfield. Look at the Royal Enfield line. Look at like the classic 350s. Great beginner bike. Like I would consider it to be like a quintessential beginner bike. Triumph has two bikes right now that I'm so I want one, but I know what's going to happen. I'm going to buy it, and then I'm going to be all like, oh, what do I do now? Because then it confuses my fleet. I'm down to just Sportsters. I only own Sportsters now. But if I was in the market for just a bike that's suitable for beginners, but still like you're riding around, and so Triumph is building these 400s. They have a scrambler version, and they have a street version, a standard version, I should say. And they're cheap, like $4,800, or they're under $5,000. Excuse me. I would definitely look at one of those. Like I seriously, I'm dying to come across somebody who has one that I can, take it for a ride around the block because I'm really curious about those bikes. Tell you, another good. If you think about a first bike, something you could. So adventure bikes are all the rage now. Okay, like the whole cruiser thing is dead. Okay, and everything's like adventure bikes, right? Look at a Himalayan. Look at a Royal Enfield Himalayan, because that's a bike. You can it's a small adventure bike. It'll go anywhere. It'll do anything, but it's also a good street bike, and it's a nice size, and they're cheap. Another real and adventure bikes are good for beginners because you're going to drop it. You're going to have your minors, accidents here and there, and they take a licking and keep on ticking. So that's another good possible beginner bike for you. Accelerated 207. Thank you for the super chat. It snowed 18 inches where you are, man. Ah, move. Why are you there? Why do you live there? Why are you in a place where it snows 18 inches? Why? Why? Don't send me any more money, right? Use the money you're going to send me to start renting a U-Haul. Right? Save up to rent and get your ass out of a place where it snows 18 inches. Let's see. World of Woodship, you don't see many used Enfields for sale. The people who buy them keep them. That's true. That's true. Although I see them pop up. I see them pop up. But yeah, people are very happy with them. Royal Enfield, they're doing motorcycles right. They're doing what Harley Davidson should have done. Helen McElroy, 18 inches, Buffalo, New York, got 7 feet a few years ago. Dude, I don't want to live in a place where I can even see a picture of 18 inches of snow, much less 7 feet. Andrew Greer, you mentioned one time you owned coffee houses. With punk bands played, what was the most influential band ever played? Hurts to Laugh. The original. I had Bad Ideas used to come from Knoxville to play. They were great. But out of all of the bands I've ever experienced in my life, okay, including like big bands I saw when I was younger and would go to shows and stuff, it was a two-piece band called Hurts to Laugh. By far the best band I've ever seen. They would literally take control of whatever room, whatever crowd. It was just amazing. Perfect chemistry. Not much in the way of musical talent, I got to tell you. They weren't very good. They were influential. They wherever these guys played was bedlam. It was just amazing. They were great. and they played it. They played it in my places countless times. Spiked Motorsports just asked me, did you watch Then Came Bronson? I was 7 in 1969. So no, it wasn't on my. I was 7. I really didn't care about motorcycles. I was obsessed with drag racing. Um, yeah, obsessed. It was pathetic. It was crazy. Um, so I didn't really get into motorcycles at the time. I wouldn't have really noticed Then Came Bronson when it was on. Later on, I saw like on YouTube. I've seen a couple of episodes. Seemed a little over dramatic for my tastes, right? But I get the general idea. And I don't know if it was just the episodes that I saw. Um, let's see. Let's see. Uh, Michael DeSantis. Hi, Tony. I'm old school and old. Me too. You like dusters, right? Yes, I like dusters. I always thought they made the coolest looking funny cars. Yeah, I mean they were okay. They were okay. The King and Marshall duster was pretty neat. That had a stretched wheelbase. That was like a 130-inch long duster bodied funny car. That was in 1970. I think it was before they actually settled in on the rules how they were. But yeah, the King and Marshall duster, the first version of it was pretty cool. Um, McEwen's duster was good looking, the red one. Uh, but they weren't my favorite funny car bodies. They weren't my favorite. I like them. Don't get me wrong, but they're not my favorite. Um, Out of all of the funny car bodies, okay, so if you go back to that era, the Mustangs were really slick. Okay, the fastback Mustangs, 1970, 71, 72, were they were beautiful cars. The 71, 72 satellite bodies. There's a YouTube video that has the 1972 Mr. Ed car, um, which was a satellite as the thumbnail. So every time I'm flipping through my TV, I see that satellite go by. My all-time favorite funny car body was the Arrow, the Plymouth Arrows. I thought they're ugly, weird-looking cars in real life, like the proportions were all stunted and stuff. But as a funny car, you elongated a little bit, and I thought they were the slickest cars. Like the Johnny Loper's Little Horse, 1977. Many of you guys look. You want to see a beautiful funny car, just like the art of funny car. Um, Try to find pictures of Johnny Loper's 1978, 1979 Little Horse Arrow. Just beautiful, beautiful. But there were a lot of funny car bodies I really liked. Um, Oscar Walton, the 70s Charger funny car was my favorite. Yeah, yeah, yes. The 71. Well, you look at the 70 was pretty good looking too. Well, 69, the Chi-Town Hustler, that was a beautiful car. That's just timeless, gorgeous car. But yeah, the 71 Chargers, 71, 72, 70, yes, beautiful funny car bodies. KJ Kyler, do you remember the Trojan Horse Mustang funny car? I certainly do. I mean, that's a car that I saw run. Not the first Trojan horse, the 73 Mustang, but the later one, the 70, 75, 76, 77. I saw that car run a number of times. Um, Joe Comanche, I won't ride on the street. Motorcycles go out early Sunday morning. I I ride on the street. I know where to go. I expect to get hit. I expect I expect it, and so because I expect it, I ride super defensively, and then I go to areas where I know I've got good visibility, and no, I don't just ride carefree or willy nilly around town because I've learned my lessons. But I've got the back roads and the side roads and and yes, I feel completely confident that I can escape the situations that arise there. Um, Nitro Mag, the Hawaiian Charger funny car, a beauty. Which one? The one that they crashed at Pomona, the 70, or the one the later? Oh, well, okay, so in 72, Revell, the model company, got involved, sponsored a bunch of cars. Um, Hawaiian was one of them. Ed McCullough's car, the Revolution, which he drove the Mr. Ed car previous to that. Um, I can't think off the top of my head. Snow's cars, um, but Revell teamed up, was sponsoring a bunch of racers, and they had graphics on these cars that were designed specifically for decals. Like, for instance, a lot of people don't know. We're like, you want to talk about funny car trivia? You want to talk about funny car trivia? You want to go down the funny car trivia rabbit hole? So the snake and the mongoose, Prudhomme and McEwen, when they got the sponsorship from Mattel, right? Two trivia things. When they got the sponsorship from Mattel, they were given the graphics that were going to go on the car, and the graphics were specifically laid out on those cars so that they could make easy decals for the models that they were going to put on there. And that's why when you look at the graphics on the early Prudhomme and McEwen funny cars, it's like all of the graphics are in this like white kind of box on the side of the car, and that was so that they could make easy decals and put them on there. In 71, they funded dragsters. So Prudhomme had already been running Top Fuel. McEwen was just running funny car at the time. So Mattel wanted them to get into dragsters. So they designed a dragster body, okay, that these guys had to use. This was all done by Mattel. That had, instead of having like the roll cage open and just a cowl like a bikini body, it had this weird rectangular opening that kind of swallowed up everything. So you had the engine, and then you had the body come up like in this wedge kind of shape, and with this just rectangular opening where the driver could see out, and that's it. And that was actually done so that they could produce models of the car cheaply and easily. And then both of them wanted to go. This was in 1971. For 72, they wanted to go rear engine. So that presented another problem because Mattel couldn't pump out quick, easy rear engine cars. So Mattel funded two wedge-bodied cars. So instead of having a normal dragster body with like a wing on the back, and a lot of cars didn't even have wings back then, they designed a dragster body that had this giant wedge that covered the engine and the back of the car. And again, that was done so that they could cheaply and easily produce models of those cars. So some of the most visually recognizable, historically visually recognizable cars in the history of drag racing were specifically done so that they could make models of those cars and sell them to kids. Um, yes, let's have a funny car Christmas. Um, I was like the Wonder Wagon. That was way ahead of its time, man. Schumacher's car was way ahead of its time. And that illustration, you can't see it clearly here, but that illustration was based on the aero craze, the funny car aero craze that started with the Wonder Wagon. Because first there was the Vega panel wagon, and that didn't work. Okay, it was like aerodynamically, this was a disaster. It wanted to fly. So instead of having downforce as the car went down the track, it had lift as the car went down the track. So you get out 800, 1,000 feet, and it would just lose traction, and the car was all over the place. So they abandoned that, and then the next version of the Wonder Wagon was actually a Vega body, a regular Vega body, and they started getting. I guess they got burned so badly with the aerodynamics on the Vega wagon that when they went to the regular Vega body, they went nuts with aerodynamics, and they closed in the front of the blower, and they bubbled the wheel openings and did all sorts of stuff to make the car swoopy. And it actually, even when they first put that car out, it had discs. It had like a bonneville, like full wheel covered discs over the wheels. Very crazy looking car. But yeah, that whole that Wonder Wagon thing, that was actually the first step in the I don't want to say the current, but that led to a big revolution in funny car aerodynamics. Michael DeSantis, I saw the Boston Shaker funny car body go way up in here in New England Dragway. Yeah, the Kosti, he was a character, man. Kosti Ivanov, his he was Romanian, and the story with him, okay, is that his father. I don't know what country Romania borders. Is it Poland? Okay, I don't know. Romania was part of the Soviet Union, and it bordered a country that wasn't part of the Soviet Union. My geography, my World War II, post World War II geography is not the sharpest thing in the world, right? But Kosti was Romanian, and they wanted to escape. Okay, so they lived not far from the border. They lived a few miles from the border. So his father had like a 1929 or thereabouts Cadillac, and it was actually the first killdozer. Okay, so he had this big 1920s Cadillac, and he encased the whole front of the car in concrete, cinder blocks and concrete. Okay, and they stuffed the family in the car and made a run for the border and blew through the border with this Cadillac. And that's how Kosti Ivanov ended up, escaping the Soviet Union. And then the family came here to the States. He became a mechanic, and then he started funny car racing. Uh, Michael DeSantis, sorry about all the split questions. Have you ever been to New England Dragway? Many times. I've had many problems in New England Dragway. Yes, well, so I was New England Dragway. I was there with Bobby Lagana, many times with Bobby Lagana, and then we were partners on Top Fueler, and we ran there. I was there a time or two with Jerry Caminito's Blue Thunder. I was there with the Fuel Altereds of America. We started an actual Fuel Altered circuit, and that was with Mike Fazer, Troy Ray, Mike Fazer, Troy Ray. It was a Chicago Fire car, Mike. Oh God, I can't think of who the other guys were. But anyway, we ran there. Yes, like many trips to New England Dragway, and yes, many dealings with Ron Champagne. And yes, everything you've heard about the guy is true. And yes, I was one of those people. So yes, I know New England Dragway very well. Twig Ziegler had a satellite. Yeah, the Pizza Haven car. Very beautiful car. Um, Barry Cuda, Tom McEwen brought his drag car to New Zealand in the 70s. I didn't get to see it though. McEwen was McEwen was ahead of his time um, in terms of tune-up. And I don't remember who was tuning that car at the time, but he was. The photographers hated McEwen's operation. They used to call him No Flames McEwen. Right. So this is back in like the 1982, 1983 range, before the double pump, double mag blower days. Still single pump, single mag, and they were running single mags. It was like running like 1200s, like 30% over. And McEwen, the photographers hated anytime McEwen would run, and he had the nickname No Flames McEwen because all the other cars, as they were backing up, so there was no flames during the burnout, but as they were backing up and the cylinder started to get heat, you get flames out the exhaust, and it was just the normal thing back then, right? So and as the car backed up further, you get even bigger flames, and then they stage and they do a dry hop, and then you get real flames because everything was nice and hot then. Well, McEwen's car never put out a lick of flame until he actually, staged and hit the throttle to go. And the photographers hated him. But McEwen was actually ahead of his friggin' time because he at that point he was running enough volume and he went that extra bit, that extra 2 turns on the valve that wet the motor down, and that later on became the norm. So McEwen doesn't really get the credit. Whoever was tuning for McEwen at the time doesn't really get the credit that they deserve because I believe that it was the way they were running that car that gave the idea to Armstrong to start up in volume and up in volume and up in volume. So, yeah, No Flames McEwen. Geez, you notice what happens? You stop you talking about drag racing. It's like no, you got to stop. Got to stop. I'm sorry. I know a bunch of you guys probably checked out during that, but I could literally sit here for the rest of the week and just drag racing trivia. Crazy Ed 231. Crazy. I'm crazy, Eddie. Prices are insane. You had to be from New York in the old days to know that reference. Uh, your carburetor videos helped me get a Rusty 72 Impala running and starting right up that sat for 20 years. My 85 Ranger with EFI ignition starts like crap. Internet says put older Duraspark in. 85 Ranger. I'm trying to think of what. Yeah, that's a TFI module ignition. Yes, yeah, they sucked. They sucked. But I'll tell you what's wrong with it. Okay, um, the module, right? When you plug the module into the distributor on that Ranger, it has to be put directly. Like there's a flat pad on the side of the distributor that it plugs into. Okay, and if you're not careful and you get it on just an angle, the 3 or 4 wires that it plugs into move around. They break. They don't seat quite right, and it leads to all kinds of weird starting problems. And like it'll get hot and it'll drop dead on you. So yes, get rid of that TFI thin film integrated distributor and put an older Duraspark in there and be very very happy. Um, well, Danny Boyd is right. Danny Boyd is right. Crazy Ed. The Duraspark will mostly only work with a carb. So yes, the Duraspark triggers the EFI. It triggers the throttle body. It pulses the throttle body. Um, so yes, that's something to think about. Uh, I'm scrolling back up here. Joe Black, have you ever put a front wheel drive engine and swap it into a front engine car drive rear? I've never done it, but I've seen people do it. I'm doing it with a '69 Beaumont. Actually, we were talking about with Dr. Art and I were talking about doing that with the with a caddy and Eldorado setup into that the beat up El Camino, the El Caballero that he picked up. So yeah, it's cool, man. Do it. Michael DeSantis, Prudhomme used to tease the shit out of Mongoose. I love them both. He was cruel. It wasn't just teasing. He had a bit of a mean. Prudhomme, I'm not saying anything bad about the guy. He's got a bit of a mean spirit. Now I was in the pits in. I was a kid. This was in like 1980. 1980. It had to be right around 1980. So I was about 18 years old. And I was at the pits during the NH the Summer Nationals, and I happened to be standing next to. I was just a spectator. I was a kid, right? And I happened to be standing a trailer next to. So I don't know. I don't know how I should. Yeah, I'm going to tell the story. I don't care. Um, so I'm next to Paul Smith's trailer, okay, and I'm just watching and listening as everything is going on. And Prudhomme is walking past, right? I guess going to his pit, and Paul Smith yells out, "There goes Chicken George!" You never saw anybody get so friggin' angry in your life. How he turned, it looked like he was gonna lunge, and then two crew members started fighting, and one guy whipped out a torque wrench and started beating another guy. But it all started when Paul, they used to call to piss him off. Prudhomme, they would call him Chicken George. um, let's see. Oliver saying, I know this is Tony's stream, but even in Boston, we consider Staten Island kind of an open air asylum. It was. I'm a product of it. That's it. That's where it came from. I know all about it. I know all about it, Oliver. Here's the thing about Staten Island, okay? Staten Island will either crush you, okay? It'll either just like crush you and turn you into this babbling okay? Or you get me, okay? That's it. Those are your two options that come from Staten Island. Either the people who they argue with their grapefruit and just like they stutter and twitch a lot and shit, right? You either get that or you get me. That's the product of Staten Island. Um, oh, zero. Yes. Merry Christmas, brother, and wish everybody at your table Merry Christmas from me also. Thank you. And it's 2 hours in, and I am going to pull a plug because I'm just done. Okay. Did I miss anything here? Uh, I know I probably missed a lot, but I'm gonna cut out because I'm just done. I'm just tired. Um, our awesome mods, Zero, Fubar. I don't know if Mexican Spec was in here at all tonight, but guys, thank you so much. Merry Christmas, and give my best to your families and your friends and everybody else. Thank you. Um, Everybody contributed super chat. Thank you so much. It's never expected, but always appreciated. And everybody who contributed your presence and your conversation, thank you equally. And for those of you celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. I know there's all these different holidays that happen now, but for everybody universally, we got New Year coming up. So everybody have a Happy New Year. We will be live New Year's Eve. So yes, that's it. So thank you all very much. And I'm probably not going to post a video for a day or two because I'm going to be out on my friggin' motorcycles. I need some psychotherapy badly. I'll see you guys later. Good night, all. Hit the end stream. End stream.